London. It's a proper shithole, isn't it? So much so that in 1986, a motorway was opened so you could avoid the place altogether. At 117-ish miles long, this almost circular motorway surrounds the capital city, and it's perhaps the most infamous motorway in the country. This is the M25. But what if you've a flight to catch from Gatwick Airport to Benidorm and live at South Mim Services, located at the opposite end of the motorway? Being a circular-ish motorway, you could go either way around, but which way is fastest? And since we're here, which way around the M25 overall is fastest, eastbound or westbound? Today we're going to find out. Let's go and find out. Welcome back to the channel Stunt Double, who's put his fee up to £37, so please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And in our little experiment, Mr. Double will be representing Team Westbound M25 and I'll be on Team Eastbound M25. Pick a side and comment below who you think will come out victorious, but let's crack on because I can explain more on the way and I imagine we're going to have quite a lot of time to kill. It's quite simple, really. Stunt Double and I will make our way out of South Mim Services and onto the M25, heading in opposite directions, where we'll then complete a full circuit of the M25, arriving back at our starting location, with a checkpoint at the halfway mark to allow for a pit stop. Well, same thing, isn't it? Anyway, which way around the M25 is fastest? Let the experiment begin. There are several notorious parts of the M25 where we're sure to run into some sort of traffic-related problem. You've got the Dartford crossing, Heathrow Airport, the M40 and M4 motorway interchanges, and Junction 10's a bit of a shit show at the moment as well. And then there's the bit of the M25 between Potters Bar and Waltham Cross, which, for unknown reasons, is always busy and someone is always crashing. And that's exactly where I am right now. I'm hoping I get at least a smooth run to the Dartford crossing, but it's the M25. And did I mention we're doing this in the morning rush hour? With that in mind, it's slow progress for Stunt Double as he makes his way towards the M25 and M40 interchange, which always has a traffic jam, especially at this time in the morning when heading westbound. It's almost like I've set this up completely, and would you look at that, right on cue, Stunt Double has hit a traffic jam. Oh no, although things aren't exactly peachy for me either. Just coming up to the Dartford crossing, which in this direction involves a bridge. Since it's the only crossing in the area, it's always busy and it's always a pain in the arse. But interestingly, it's the reason why the M25 isn't a complete circle. There's a small section of A roads known as the A282, which includes the Dartford crossing. As said, it's the only crossing in the area and we want it to be available for all types of traffic, including pedestrians apparently, and if it was a motorway that wouldn't be possible and access for local residents would be even more of a pain in the arse. You do at least get a reasonably nice view into London from the Dartford Bridge. Just look at the horizon whilst ignoring your immediate surroundings and you'll be fine. I'll show you what the view looks like, but I'm driving, albeit very slowly, and I anticipate this will continue for several miles, as coming up is the M25 and M20 interchange, and a bit later the M25 and M26 interchange, which is a load of bollocks. I'll explain why when I get there, but first let's check in on Stunt Double. It seems to not be going so well. How expected. The problem with the west side of the M25 is that you've got one obstacle after another, and when it's busy, it all joins up into one massive traffic jam. Having got through the M25-M40 interchange, you quickly arrive at the M4 interchange, then Heathrow Airport, and then the M3 interchange. If you can avoid this part of the M25, then it's highly recommended, but I'm hoping by the time I reach that, heading the other way, the traffic will have died down a bit, so it'll be much easier. And I suppose Stunt Double will have an easier time when it comes to the crap M25-M26 interchange, or Junction 5, where in order to stay on the M25 you have to exit the M25 and then rejoin the M25. And the reason for all of this nonsense is that the M25 is a complete bodge of a motorway. It was never planned properly and I buggered up my lines. an idiot. What I'm trying to say is that the M25 wasn't planned and is the result of a failed road building plan known as the London Ringways Project, a 1960s plan to build a huge network of motorways in and around London that was famously cancelled after only a small portion of the plan had been built. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? The dodgy M25-M26 interchange is the result of those cancellations. The original plan was for the motorways to be arranged a bit like this, but when it all got cancelled, they connected up the bits they had built and called it the M25, giving us an interchange that makes no sense. And ever since then, it's created a traffic bottleneck that, when you're heading in the direction I am, takes ages to get through. And then you hit the southern part of the M25, which is also terrible for traffic. I've just pulled into Clackett Lane Services to make a quick stop and to mark the halfway point. It's not actually the halfway point, but the real halfway point is in the middle of the M25, where obviously I can't stop. Clackett Lane Services is the next best option. To keep things accurate, I stole this timer from my mum's kitchen. Stunt Double's got one as well, and it means we can keep track of our driving time on the M25. I think it's the fairest way to do things. There's no point including the time I've spent having a piss stop. Speaking of Stunt Double, I did tell him to pull in at Clackett Lane Services when he gets here, so should we see if we can go and find him? I've had to use the back door at the services because I sort of forgot at Clackett Lane there's no footbridge to connect up the two sides, so if Stunt Double is here, he's on the other side and I have to walk around. There is a bridge, but it's not part of the services, so as you can see, I'm walking up there now. That's the other side of Clackett Lane Services. After a cursory glance, there's no sign of Stunt Double. It's pissing it down with rain and I'm just getting wet and I'm wasting time. So just going to get back in the car and get on with it. Okay, well, let's move on then. And now that it's a little bit later in the day, I'm hoping the traffic will have eased up a bit and we get a nice easy ride for the rest of the experiment. Just up from Clackett Lane Services is the M25 and M23 interchange, an impressive 4-level stacked interchange. And if we were heading to Gatwick on our bargain basement holiday, we'd want to turn off here onto the M23. We won't be doing that, but what I can reveal is that it took me 61 minutes 50 seconds to get here, and it took Stunt Double 68 minutes 6 seconds, so Team Eastbound is faster by 6 minutes 16 seconds. But it's not over yet because we've still got the rest of the M25 to deal with. At this point, I'm doing the reverse of what Stunt Double has just done, so in a short while I'll have those motorway interchanges and Heathrow Airport to deal with, and he's going to have the M26 interchange and the Dartford crossing, which in that direction uses a tunnel, which I think is a lot more hassle than a bridge. How's that working out for you there, Stunt Double? Good. Well, there's no point talking you through the same obstacles but in the reverse order, so I'll just get on with it and see you there. On the National Express, na 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 na. Or what we could do is get stuck in some traffic at Junction 10, which is where the A3 is. I don't know if you know, but for the last couple of years they've been upgrading the junction here to make it better in some way. I don't think they're going to make it any better, but that remains to be seen. But in any case, it is a complete shit show here for traffic. It is, 10:30 in the morning. I wasn't expecting to run into any traffic at all at this time, but we are where we are. The speed signs are illuminated at 40, I think I can see just down there. Still, what's really good is that even though they've spent millions upon millions of pounds on this junction, they haven't spent the 30 quid that it would be to resurface the really crap M25 road surface. You know the one, it's the concrete area with the joins and the stuff that makes your suspension break. I'll shortly be pulling into South Mim Services. I've no idea if Stunt Double is there or not, although in this case it doesn't really matter who arrives first. It's a timed experiment. The important thing is the amount of time spent driving on the M25. Stunt Double could have had 4 stops for a shit for all we know. Well, would you look at that? Stunt double got here first, but as I say, it doesn't really matter who got here first. The important thing is the time spent driving. So let me pass you back over to the studio and we'll go through the data.
Raw data.
Indeed. Now, as we established earlier, if you go eastbound around the M25, you'll arrive at the Gatwick turnoff in 61 minutes and 50 seconds, whereas the other way it was 68 minutes 6 seconds, so you'll save 6 minutes 16 seconds by going eastbound. But if we take into account the entire length of the M25, starting in an eastbound direction, I did the whole trip in 2 hours 12 minutes and 7 seconds. But here's where it gets interesting. Stunt double heading westbound managed to complete the journey in 2 hours 4 minutes and 11 seconds, saving 7 minutes and 56 seconds. So which way round the M25 is fastest? We have to conclude that it depends on where you're going. Thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.